You probably remember that in the area forecast, they ask you to check the latest AirMat Sierra for any IFR conditions, and we said then that you'd learn more about that later. Well, now is later. You always want to be able to check for any hazardous weather that would affect your flight, so you can make a decision on whether to go or stay home and watch that special on TV. Or if you're in the air, so you can take advantage of that alternative action you planned during your pre-flight planning. When you're planning a flight, or you're already in the air, there are several types of weather advisories that you might get, and these fall under the heading of in-flight aviation weather advisories. One type of weather advisory is an AirMat, which stands for Airman's Meteorological Information. AirMats are issued for the same 6 areas as the area forecasts, and they include warnings of weather conditions that are particularly hazardous to small aircraft. They cover things like IFR weather conditions, moderate turbulence, and icing, stuff that would pose problems for small aircraft, and they're valid for up to 6 hours. For instance, an AirMat is what would be issued for winds on the surface that were blowing 30 knots or more. The FAA even has names for different AirMats to tell you what they're about. Sierra is for IFR weather and mountain obscurations. Tango is for turbulence and also for strong surface winds and low-level wind shear. Zulu covers icing and freezing levels. Another type of weather advisory is a SIGMET. SIGMET stands for Significant Meteorological Information, and that's important stuff. They're issued for the same 6 areas as the area forecasts, and these are valid for a maximum of 4 hours. They include warnings of weather conditions hazardous to all aircraft, no matter how big or how small they are. What kind of weather hazards? Well, severe icing, severe turbulence, or clear air turbulence, CAT, and things like that. Also dust storms, sandstorms, and lowered visibilities due to volcanic eruptions. For instance, an in-flight advisory on severe icing would be a SIGMET. Now, AirMats and SIGMETs are the most accurate source of your forecast icing conditions. Now, there's another type of SIGMET, and that's called a convective SIGMET. This SIGMET gets its name from the word convection for rising air, and rising air brings you thunderstorms and all the hazards like tornadoes associated with them. Convective SIGMETs are issued for the eastern, central, and western United States, and they're valid for up to 2 hours. They contain warnings about things like tornadoes, lines of thunderstorms, embedded thunderstorms, and large hail, meaning hail that's 3/4 of an inch or greater in diameter. In other words, any weather that is so nasty, you don't want to be around it for any reason. As you remember, embedded thunderstorms are the sneaky kind that lurk in other clouds. As the FAA says, they're obscured by massive cloud layers, and you can't see them. They're not like an isolated summer thunderstorm that you can see and fly around. Embedded thunderstorms are dangerous because you don't know exactly where they are. You can't see them. As we mentioned earlier, you can get these advisories in flight from ATC or during your pre-flight planning. If an advisory is printed out, its format and abbreviations will be similar to the area forecast. Now, you as a pilot and the general public can be warned about possible severe thunderstorms or tornadoes through severe weather watch bulletins. These bulletins are widely disseminated through all available media, including aviation and marine weather channels, as well as television and radio. Just like what they're announcing, they're unscheduled and are issued as required. If you live in Tornado Alley in the U.S., I'm sure you're intimately familiar with these bulletins. Action. Now, the Air Route Traffic Control Center has a way to update you about potentially hazardous weather when you're flying IFR. It's called a Center Weather Advisory, or CWA. CWAs are broadcast to all pilots over the center communications frequency. Now, these advisories are unscheduled, and they're a quick way to alert you of existing or anticipated adverse weather conditions within the next 2 hours. Sometimes the advisory will be broadcast to update existing in-flight advisories. Maybe the location or intensity of thunderstorms is changed, and sometimes it will be when the center learns that a SIGMET or AirMet will be issued soon. So with a little luck and your new ability to understand in-flight aviation weather advisories, you'll be able to avoid the type of weather that even the birds don't fly IFR in.